said, would you like some pie? I said, yes, I would. I forgot they majored in math. I would undo it if I could. They said 3.14159, 2653589, 7932384, 6264333. They said, would you like some pie? I said, yes, I would. I forgot they majored in math. I would undo it if I could. They said 3.14159, 2653589, 7932384, 6264333. They said, would you like some pie? I said, yes, I would. I forgot they majored in math. I would undo it if I could. They said 3.14159, 2653589, 7932384, 6264333. They said, would you like some pie? I said, yes, I would. I forgot they majored in math. I would undo it if I could. They said 3.14159, 2653589, 7932384, 6264333. They said, would you like some pie? I said, yes, I would. I forgot they majored in math. I would undo it if I could. They said 3.14159, 2653589, 7932384, 6264333.
All right, go. Okay, is everybody ready for the joke? No? No jokes? Yes?
Hi, I'm Zachary Lundy from the 6th grade.
Tell him again.
Hi, I'm Zachary Lundy from the 6th grade. Hello. What do cheese get whenever they turn teenagers? Cheez-Its.
I'm Daxton from the 8th grade. Did you hear about diarrhea being hereditary?
I'm Devin from the 7th grade, and my joke is, why did the mushroom go to the party?
All right, what do you think? Jackson? 6th grade? Wow, good job. And our special speaker is Mr. Remember, we will give it.
Thank you. I wish somebody had been up here on stage in 1976 and had taken that picture, because if they had, and it was full of the student body like it is today, in 1976 I would have been sitting right over there, and I probably would have been sitting with two of my best friends, and we were all Waller Eagles. Go Waller. I can honestly say that I met one of those guys in 6th grade and the other one in 7th grade, and they are today still my best friends. And I can tell you that it's like the movie quote from Stand By Me. You'll never make friends later on like the ones you make in middle school. So everybody remember that. In that picture, if you looked at it a little bit closer, you would see some other people out there. One of them was a skinny guy, and he probably sat in the back and he was really quiet. And then there was a guy that was a little bit bigger than everybody in our class, and he usually sat up front, and he was strong, and everybody liked him, and he was kind of one of the loud guys. The story that I'm going to tell you, instead of calling these two guys by name, I'm going to describe them from, if anybody has seen The Breakfast Club, there's five kids in that story, and my story is about the athlete and the basket case. We actually had one each of those in our class. Like I said, the athlete, he was big. He was like the athlete in The Breakfast Club. He liked to pull pranks. He teased people. He liked to pick on people. Back in our day, it wasn't really what we would call bullying. It was more about pranking and just, getting one up on the other guy. And so he went through junior high and high school, usually picking on people and pranking them and kind of pushing people around. Well, the basket case, he was a skinny guy, didn't have a whole lot of friends, and he didn't quite have complete control of his emotions. And we don't know why. We didn't know what his home life was like. We didn't know what he had to go through every day when he woke up. But we knew when he got here, he didn't quite fit in. And I had gone to grade school with him, but when he got here, he got teased a lot more. He got picked on, and because he couldn't control his feelings as much, he would throw outrageous tantrums and scream and yell at the top of his lungs, and he would tell the teachers and the students that he was going to hire a lawyer and sue them, and he was going to leave school. And so he went through entire junior high, we called it junior high back then, and high school like that, and the athlete continued on with all the things that he did. Well, we finally made it through junior high and high school, and we all graduated in the class of 1981. Me and my friends, we all went separate ways, but we stayed in really close contact. I went to college. One of them stayed here and worked. The other one went to a different college. The athlete in the basket case, I don't know what happened to at that time. I lost contact with him. We didn't stay in contact or connection, and back in those days, we didn't have social media, so once somebody left town, you just really didn't know where they went. So 10 years went by, and I was in touch with my friends, and I hadn't seen these other two guys in a long time, and we all met here back in Enid, and I had stayed in Enid, so I was still living here, and everybody came back, and we had our 10-year reunion, and the athletes showed up, and the popular kids, and again, he was a little bit loud and a little bit pushy, but, we'd grown up a little bit. The 10-year reunion, everybody was kind of showing off, and everybody still had their hair, and people's weights still looked a little bit like they did when they were in high school, but there was no sign of the basket case. Nobody had heard from him. Nobody had seen him. This repeated itself at our 15-year reunion. So 5 years later, we all showed back up again and had a 15-year reunion. Still no word from the basket case. The athlete continued on. We all continued on our way. My friends and I stayed in touch. Then as we got closer to our 20-year reunion, I had been kind of a shy kid. I could have never gotten up here. I remember standing almost in this very spot with a podium in front of me in speech class, and I had to give a speech to about 15 of my classmates right here in this room, and I was scared to death. And I didn't think I could do it, and thinking back then, being up here today, it's hard for me to believe that I can get up in front of people and talk. But so I was shy, and so as our 20-year reunion was coming up, I decided to get more involved with my class because I had stayed in contact with my core group, but I hadn't really stayed connected with the other kids that I hadn't talked to. I mean, there was literally hundreds of kids that I'd gone to school with that I hadn't spoken a word to. So I got involved and I got on the 20-year reunion committee. And because I knew a little bit about social media and the internet, I told the class that I would build them a website. So I quickly became the contact person for our class. So we sent out invitations to everybody for the 20-year reunion, and I was getting responses back. People would send back their information that they were coming. And I got the oddest email that I've probably ever gotten in my whole life, and it was from the basket case. It was about 19 years after we had graduated from high school. And the email went something like this: "Please don't ever contact me again. I had the worst time in my whole life and the worst experience in junior high and high school. I don't want to associate with those people ever again. If you or the Alumni Association ever contact me again, I will contact my lawyer and I will sue you for harassment. please have them take me off of the high school list and at the Alumni Association. And so I read it, and I was shocked. I mean, it had been 20 years, and the basket case was still holding this inside. And you know, I knew that he'd been picked on, but I didn't know that it had gone this deep, that there was that, you know, that he'd had those feelings. So I talked about it with the other reunion members, and we just kind of, you know, shuffled it under the rug, and I asked the Alumni Association, you know, don't contact him. So basically, we didn't contact him again, and we went on with our 20-year reunion. The athlete was there. He was getting a little more tolerable. He and I had never been friends, really close friends. He had never picked on me, but I think we had a mutual understanding that I wouldn't harass him or say anything about him, and he wouldn't pick on me. So we went on, and another 5 years went by, and before we got to our 25th reunion, something really tragic happened. And our athlete was in a tragic accident and became paralyzed. And by then, Facebook had come along, and we learned about the accident on Facebook and found out that he was in the hospital and he was in a coma. Well, he ended up being in the coma for months and months. And when he finally came out of the coma, they told him that he was paralyzed, and he would be paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of his life. So this guy that had been full of life and you know, the party guy and the one that kind of led everything, now he was, you know, succumbed to a wheelchair, and that was the way it was going to be for the rest of his life. So we went on to the 25-year reunion, and because of his medical problems and stuff, he was in the hospital at the time of the 25-year reunion, so he didn't make it back. And of course, at the 25-year reunion, we didn't hear from the basket case either. Nobody had heard from him. Nobody knew where he was. So we had our 25-year reunion, and then another 5 years went by. Actually, 4 years, and we started planning for the 30-year reunion. And in this time, the athlete continued to work, and he had done some pretty cool things. I mean, his life had completely changed, and I think his heart had softened. He had gotten married and had girls, and he had quite a career outside of Enid, and they wanted to honor him for all of his accomplishments that he had kept doing while he was in the wheelchair. So they planned this big event down in Oklahoma City, and they invited him, and he had stayed in contact with some of his friends, which were other people from Waller. And one of the girls from our high school had cancer, and she had been battling cancer for 10 years. Every time she would get rid of the cancer, a year or two would go by and it would come back. So she had this testimony that she would tell people about her faith in God and just her faith in everything, in nature and whatever, and the healing power of the mind. And she would explain to us that we all need to live each day like it's our last. And when you talked to her, you believed it, because every day could have been her last. Anyway, she went to this event with our athlete, and they were all there getting ready for the awards, and the athlete was going to go up with his wheelchair and get the award. And the event was at a place in Oklahoma City that needed security, and so there was security guys all over the place. And before the thing started, about a 6'5", 250-pound guy walked up to him and introduced himself to him. And unbeknownst to them, he was our basket case. After all of these years, he'd gone on to become a security guy. He had gotten married and had kids. He'd learned how to use a gun. And now he was in the position of protecting others from people. And so here they were. They had almost switched places at this event. Our basket case was this big, towering guy, bigger than our athlete had ever been. And our athlete was stuck in a wheelchair. And he was there for the awards. And so somewhere throughout the evening, the basket case talked to the girl that had cancer, and she had given him her testimony, and something must have changed that night in him and in all of them. And there was a healing between all of them, and I think it was a healing for our entire class. And they got done with the event, and again, the athlete got sick and couldn't make it to our 30-year reunion. So we all met out at the country club, and we were there on a big Saturday night, and we were all having a good time, and I kind of quieted the crowd down, and I was making introductions. And out of the blue, somebody stood up and they toasted our entire class at this 30-year reunion. There was only one person that was brave enough to get up in front of everybody and toast him, and it was that basket case. He had come to their 30-year reunion, and he was wanting to be a part of our class again. And so we welcomed him in, we got to know him, we learned a lot lot more about him, what he had gone through as a young kid. Unfortunately, the athlete couldn't make it to that reunion either. He'd been in the hospital again, and his condition was getting worse. And so just a couple of years after that, not even, maybe even a year after that reunion, our athlete finally passed away. And so I tell you this not as a bullying story, but as a discovery story. I want you all to take time to think about all the other people in the school, the people that you don't talk to, the people that you think are different. And I just want you to know that when you get to my age, 36 years down the line, those people aren't going to seem so different. You're all going to meld into almost the same people. So just be aware, and it only takes somebody telling you hi or hello or to smile to make a difference. And I know that at our 25-year or our 20-year reunion, the athlete did come up to me and thank me for all the work that I'd put in on the reunion. And to me, that was one of the highlights of that reunion, was that this guy that I hadn't talked to in years and we had never become friends had spoken to me and thanked me for doing so much. And we actually became friends through email and had planned on having a dinner together. And unfortunately, one of my regrets is that we never got together and I never got to have that dinner with him. And I also regret not getting to know the basket case better and learning what his situation was. We don't know what he went through every morning when he woke up. We don't know what his parents or his brothers were doing. We don't know any of his circumstances. So I just want you guys to think about that when you're looking at each other and when you go on to high school and when you get in your cliques. And we all get in our cliques and we all have our close friends, but keep an open mind. And I'm going to end this with a quote from that movie, The Breakfast Club. You all know that those 5 kids got together and they learned more about each other, and they had to write an essay on what they thought of themselves. And so at the end of the movie, the brain, he reads this: "Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it was we did wrong. But we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you who we think we are. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms, in the most convenient definitions. But what we have found out is that each of us is a brain and an athlete and a basket case, a princess and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely, The Breakfast Club." And I'm Curtis Tucker, and I am a Waller Eagle. Go Eagles. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tucker. And now I believe Miss Ashcraft has a video for us.
Before we show the video, Mrs. Harrell's going to talk a little bit about it so you'll know more information. So, Mrs. Harrell, tell us about this video.
We just wanted to let you know that this Friday is Pie Day 3.14, and we will be having pie. Real pie in math classes. Chocolate pie, yes. Enjoy.
All right, enjoy this video.
Sixth grade, I'm in the math classroom. The teacher tells me which page to turn to. Geometry Sixth grade, I'm in the math classroom. The teacher tells me which page to turn to. Geometry, calculus, exercise. The equation, well, it took me by surprise.
Put some personality with it.
All right, I just wanted to tell everybody that we have 10 dozen donuts going to be delivered here in the morning from Shibers. Who has read their 3 books? 3 Sequoia books are required. Okay, tomorrow morning we have our voting party. Don't forget, I'm going to show that trailer one more time. Okay, we'll see you in the library in the morning.
Okay, a couple of things I do want to remind you of. First of all, guys, we're winding it down. How many of you know that we only have 9 weeks of school left after this week? And I know 6th grade, you're kind of loud today. Okay, now, for the next 9 weeks, I know we have some fun things planned. We are working to plan even more fun things, but guys, in order to make that work, it's the stuff that we talked about last week. Okay, I know we like to come in here and we have this good time and we do all these things, but whenever you're in that classroom, it's all about the business, okay? It's all about the work, because if we don't do the work, then we can't get the reward, right? So that means I show up on time. I bring my stuff. I come in there with the attitude ready to work. And that way we can split it. I work hard, and then we get to play hard, okay? But if I take out the work, what happens to the play? Right? Hey. Okay? So, make sure that you're giving your teachers the respect that they deserve. Because along with all this work and play, guys, if you've been causing problems all year long, guess how much patience people have? It's shrinking, right? We started out with tons of patience and now it's coming down. So don't be surprised if you catch yourself, hey, I'm in ISP for several days. I have to miss the field trips. I have to miss the parties. I have to miss all this stuff, okay? Because I won't make it, it's not going to be fun time for everyone whenever I got a few people messing it up. I believe in not punishing, but the people who mess it up, they can face their consequences, okay? Everybody got it? All right.
Okay, I'm Mrs. Schwant, or Cammie, however you guys know me. I'm Kaylin's mom. And sometimes I sub you guys, but a lot of parents have been trying to figure out what to do with you guys for the 8th grade prom. And it's kind of different because you're not really, like we used to have prom all the time when I was, in 9th grade, and you're 8th graders, so maybe some of you guys don't like the idea of prom, so we kind of just wanted to get a feel of whether everyone was interested in us planning a prom for you all, or if you were more interested in just like an activity other than a prom, like okay, all the callbacks I know are from like first grade, so I don't really want to do that. Okay, something like a cookout and maybe like volleyball or softball. Our date tentatively is planned for April 26th. There's probably a possibility that it'll be cool or rainy, but it may be beautiful. So we would have to have a backup plan if we did choose to do something, which I think we can use the Waller gym. So if we had to do something here or at a park, then we would have that as an option if you guys didn't want to do prom. So kind of why we're here is just to figure out if you want a traditional prom or if you'd rather have us find another type of activity for you to do and not do the prom. We know that you guys were kind of already, some of you had been talking about 2 different options for prom. One of them fell through, but we still have 2 options for you. There's a more casual prom. It can be just more casual. You can dress up as much as you want. It's kind of country western themed. It would be downtown at Simpson's. Or let me tell you though. Okay, there have been some dances in like barns and places like that. We cannot find a barn unless we find one. Yes, sir. A what? Okay. Stop.
Tell them 580's out.
Okay, 580 was out because they have some problems down there. They're not going to be able to accommodate all of the kids here. So the other option that we came up with was Simpsons. They're available. And then the other option, which is the more traditional prom, just one second, is at Sugar Rush. And that would be, I mean, it would be a little bit more traditional, but we can talk about whether you want it to be semi-dressy or really dressy or whatever. But those are kind of those are the 2 options that we have at the moment. Yes, ma'am. A bonfire? Do you have a field we could have a bonfire at? You do? Okay.
Tell them if they want to hold their hand up.
Okay.
Stand up if they
Yes, Peyton?
stand up. 8th grade Lockie. Any other suggestions?
Okay.
Does anybody have any other suggestions? So far we've got prom, we've got a bonfire, we've got a lock-in.
Okay.
If you have a suggestion, stand up or hold up your hand.
Damar? Is that Damar? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Waller. 8th grade. Okay. It's right now it's planned for April 26th, and I don't think it'll be warm enough for swimming. And the only indoor places would not be enough for this many people.
Yes?
Okay. Yes. Okay. So, if you want us to look for other ideas, raise your hand. That's not prom. Okay, so that would, if you wanted a bonfire, but we decided there's probably too many people for that.
But you could revise that to say like cookout. Instead of bonfire, you could say cookout and activities like volleyball. Yes.
You can't do it in city limits.
It would have to be somebody's private farm, like preferably one of your parents or relatives that is, because this is not a school function, this is just a parent function that sponsors this dance.
Okay. If you are excited about a regular prom, wherever it's at, please raise your hand so we know if we just want to go ahead and start looking into prom. How many of you will not come to anything if we have it on that Saturday?
No matter what we do.
Yeah. A lot. Okay. Okay.
Other than. So if you're not voting for a prom, how many of you are voting for an activity other than a prom for us to be working on?
Hey, if you want to make up a ballot, they can just vote in my room.
Okay.
Because between Mr. Martin and I, we have all the input.
Okay.
So have like 3 options maybe, and they can just check out.
Okay.
Okay. We can do that.
Maybe what we need to do is have a parent meeting to get like 2 or 3 options. What'd she say? A Nerf war. That would be part of, activities at some outside location. So, does anybody have a farm or a barn or some land that... Anybody that does?
All right, here's what choices, okay? And you can vote on those in your history class. We'll send out a ballot by the end of the week, okay? There's going to be another option at the bottom. I'm not going, or I will go. It's a guess, okay? If you know for sure, whatever reason you won't be going on that date, then please just let us know, okay? All right.
If they have land or a farm, please contact me.
Okay, if you have land or a farm for some kind of cookout or bonfire, if you have property and that your parents are good with that, please have them call the office and we'll put you in touch with the PTSA. Okay? Anything else?
Great.
All right. What should you say? All right. Okay, at this time, you guys can go on back to class.